Are you ready to safeguard your church's financial health? Join me today as we uncover some common pitfalls and share tips for financial compliance on your church. From avoiding the commingling of funds, yes, that's a word, to reporting taxable income that needs to be reported, get ready to empower your church with the knowledge it needs. Stay tuned for valuable insights coming up in our final of the three-part series on Navigating the IRS next on the Church Finance and Minister Tax podcast. Hello, friend. Welcome to the Church Finance and Minister Tax Podcast. My name is Michelle Brown, and I am honored to be your host. In this podcast, we will discuss topics to help you organize, maximize, and utilize your God-given talents and skills so you can do what you do best, which is take care of the business side of the church and do it with excellence. If you are a church secretary, bookkeeper, administrative assistant, or any other superpower title you've been given, then this podcast is for you. Church finances and minister taxes is what we do, so if that's your area of service, we are here for you and aim to make it easy peasy mac and cheesy. Regardless of where you're from, we are here to help take the confusion and uncertainty out of running the business side of the church and give you the confidence and clarity you've been looking for. So grab your notebook and pen, my friend, and your favorite beverage, and let's get ready to learn something cool today. Hello, and welcome to episode 65 of the Church Finance and Minister Tax Podcast. We all know why we're here, so let's dive right on in. First, here is today's episode quote by Mr. Groeschel again. In his fabulous latest book called Think Ahead, Craig says, "You are successful when you do what you need to do today." Let's repeat that. You are successful when you do what you need to do today. Okay, so today we finish our three-part series on navigating the IRS maze with discussing the most common pitfalls churches should be aware of when it comes to financial compliance, as well as the importance of seeking professional guidance, all right? So in addition to making sure your payroll taxes are correct and paid, we're going to touch on some other topics. The first one is commingling personal and financial church finances, okay? This is a critical issue that can seriously lead to significant problems if not addressed promptly. When church staff or leaders use church funds for personal expenses and they plan to reimburse the church later, it blurs the line between personal and organizational finances. You wouldn't think this would need to be said, but I have seen it many times that a staff member will use the church credit card to pay for personal expenses and then want to simply reimburse the church later for the charge. Okay? No. Not only does this practice lack transparency, but it can also have serious tax implications. I get it that sometimes you're just in a hurry or you're not paying attention and you pull out the wrong card, okay? That can happen, maybe once or twice, but if it's happening more than twice, then you seriously need to do something. Stick a sticker on that puppy that says church credit card, or do something, put it in a separate spot so that you reduce the risk of using it at the wrong times, okay? But as mentioned back in episode 63, if this is not handled properly and in a timely manner, the expense should become taxable income to the staff member, and the credit card usage should be revoked until retraining in how to properly use the credit card. Yes, I said that. I know it may sound extreme, people, but come on. Seriously, we are all grown-ups and should abide by the rules, especially as those who are held to a higher accountability as ministers of the gospel, okay? Keeping your church funds separate from personal accounts is essential for maintaining financial clarity, accountability, and compliance with the tax laws. Again, if you've got to, put a sticker. You can get an address label and put it across that puppy that says church credit card, or wrap it in a Post-it note that has a particular color in it. Do anything you got to do. Like I said, once or twice it can happen, just honest mistake. But after that, you're just being careless, okay? So please stop commingling your personal and church finances with that and use that church credit card only when you need to, okay? Number 2, failure to report taxable income is also another common stumbling block. that churches fall into and ministers, particularly for housing allowances. All right. Housing provided to ministers is considerable taxable income by the IRS. All right. It's not tax-free money. I know there are people out there that tend to think just because they've been incorrectly informed, but yes, you do have to pay taxes on housing allowance. All right. And if you don't report it accurately, it can result in tremendous penalties and legal consequences. Housing allowance is subject to self-employment taxes, okay? Even though ministers are responsible for reporting and paying their SECA, which is just short for self-employment, okay, churches can help alleviate some of the stress by doing voluntary federal withholding and remitting the taxes on behalf of the minister on the Form 941 deposits and reporting, okay? So if you're, as a minister, you should be hopefully your tax professional, and hopefully if you're a minister, you are using a paid tax professional. They should help you to calculate what your estimated taxes need to be for the upcoming year based upon what your tax liability was for the previous year and taking into consideration any anticipated changes in the upcoming year, okay? You have 4 tax payments a year, estimated tax payments you need to make. You need to make the first one April 15th, which totally stinks because that's when your regular tax liability is due. Estimated tax payment number 2 is due June 15th, which is coming up here in about a week and a half. Your third estimated tax payment is due September 15th. And then your fourth estimated tax payment is kind of weird. It throws you off, but it's actually not due till January 15th. Okay. So they actually give you 4 months in there between that. But housing allowance is not subject to federal income tax. Okay. The allowable part, and again, the allowable part is a whole different podcast, but it is fully subject to self-employment taxes. All right. So please make your estimated tax payments. Or if you're just not disciplined, and I get it, guys, sometimes you're just not. If you're not disciplined enough to set aside that money to make those estimated tax payments, then your church can absolutely do voluntary federal withholding out of your paychecks. Okay, and they can remit that along with any FICA taxes or federal withholding on other church employees. They can remit that to the IRS on the monthly 941 deposit, report it, include it in the reporting on the quarterly 941s. It gets included in box 2 of your W-2s at the end of the year, and boom, you've got it taken care of. So you don't have to remember to set aside that money, okay? But one of 2 ways, all right? Either please do the self-employment taxes or do the voluntary withholding, but report all of your taxable income, all right? You need to report your salary as wages, and then on the calculation sheets for clergy tax worksheets, you need to include that housing allowance, all right? My final recommendation would be seek professional guidance when it's needed. All right. Church finances differ from those of traditional nonprofits in several aspects, including tax treatment, reporting requirements, and governing structures. All right. Given the unique complexities of church finances, seeking professional guidance is crucial for ensuring compliance and effective financial management. Professional bookkeepers, CPAs, and EAs with expertise in nonprofit and especially churches can provide valuable insights tailored to the specific needs and challenges faced by churches. All right. Not everyone understands the unique nuances of church finances and minister taxes, which is why this podcast and my firm exist. I opened my firm because I had church treasurers getting notices from the IRS and ministers getting audited and receiving thousands of dollars in IRS penalties and interest because their tax returns were incorrectly filed. And yes, they were filed by CPAs. All right. Just because someone has letters behind their name does not mean they are the right choice for your church or your tax preparation. Please do your due diligence. Research before choosing the right financial advisor. Price should not always be the number one consideration. Remember the saying, you get what you pay for. And I always tell my clients, I am not the cheapest tax preparer around. I am not the cheapest bookkeeper around, but I guarantee you, I will prepare your taxes correctly. I will do your bookkeeping and your payroll correctly, because churches is all I do. Minister taxes is all I do. And you need to seek out and find someone in your area locally, if possible, to do that. Okay? Please don't use the excuse, especially for churches, okay? For churches, if you outsource your bookkeeping or payroll. I understand everybody has a budget, okay? Because you need to have a budget, because IRS requires that you have a budget. But I understand wanting to exercise wise stewardship. I get it. It's biblical, okay? But stewardship is more than about money. Did you hear that? Stewardship is more than about money. Stewardship is also paying attention and spending your money wisely where it's going. Okay? If you are getting the dirt cheapest bookkeeper or person to do your payroll processor to do that for you for the least amount of money that you can spend, are the savings seriously worth it if you get audited and it's all wrong and it costs you a ridiculous amount of penalties and interest, and in some instances you could lose your tax exempt position? Okay, don't do that. Spend the money to get what you need. All right. So remember the saying, you get what you pay for. So in addition, attending training seminars or workshops focused on financial education for church leaders can enhance their understanding of relevant laws, regulations, and best practices. Okay. Choosing the right tax professional as a minister to do your year-end tax return. Trust me, there are so many preparers out there that have no idea how to properly do taxes. All right. Do your due diligence. Find someone who knows what they're doing. All right. So I'm going to put a plug in here. I have almost completed the creation of my first course. I'm super excited, called Intro to Church Finances. And if you would like to be one of the first to be notified when it's available, you can join my course wait list at www.introtochurchfinances.com. That's introtochurchfinances.com. I'll share more information about the lessons included and all the other good details as we get closer to the launch date, which I'm really hoping is going to be this summer. All right. So to summarize today's episode, maintaining financial compliance in church operations requires consistency, it requires transparency, and it requires a commitment to understanding and fulfilling the legal and tax obligations for the church. By avoiding these common pitfalls, stop commingling your funds. Put a sticker or wrap that puppy up, that church credit card in something to differentiate it so you stop pulling it out, okay, when you don't need to. Failing to report that taxable income, FYI, if you did not know this, housing allowance is taxable income, okay? It's just not subject to federal income tax, but it is fully subject to self-employment taxes. So make sure you report your taxes correctly and seek professional guidance when you need it, all right? Don't just go for the cheapest. Don't just take somebody's word for it. Do your due diligence and make sure that if you're doing bookkeeping and payroll in-house, get the training you need so that you know that you're doing it right. Because so many times I hear it over and over and over from consultations. I just don't know what I don't know. I get that, okay? I've been there, done that, which is why I do what I do now. So get the education you need. And if you want or need to outsource your bookkeeping or payroll, do your due diligence. Don't just go with the cheapest bookkeeper around or the cheapest payroll processor around. Make sure they understand churches, all right? And then, of course, for your tax preparation, make sure that your tax preparer actually understands housing allowance, the dual tax status of housing, of ministers, and some of the benefits that you get, okay? Woo-wee. All right. So church leaders can safeguard the financial integrity of their organizations, thereby helping other staff members to do what they are called to do without worrying about the business side of the church. All right. So that's a wrap, people. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. And let's all strive to make an impact and not just an income. Remember to always look your best, do your best, and be your best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks again for listening today. If you haven't joined our free Facebook community yet, check it out at www.facebook.com/groups/church bookkeeping and clergy tax. And please know that no matter what is going on in your part of the world, God's got you, girl. Be blessed, my friend. Until next time, bye-bye.